For this activity, we're going to work in Google Sheets. So this is like Excel in the Microsoft Office worksheet. Now Excel is more robust than Google Sheets, but Google Sheets can do a lot of cool things, and for most of us, it can do everything that you need it to do. So we'll get started, and I'll show you. So again, here we are. I'm gonna get there a little bit differently than I did with the Docs one, so you can see a different way to do something. So before, when we did the Google Doc activity, we went to the folder that shared folder that we're going to put it in first. This time I'm just going to create it, and then I'm going to move it into the shared folder so you can see how that works. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to go to New, Google Sheets. And you pop up with a spreadsheet. Now, this looks pretty similar if you've worked with Excel before. You see the cells and you see the places for creating a formula and all of that. So this, if you're familiar with working with spreadsheets, this shouldn't look really different. For some of you, you're not very familiar with that, so we're going to start with something very basic on this. Spreadsheets are so customizable. They have so many functions that can be added in. It is just amazing what you can do with spreadsheets. What I'm going to do right now is super simple. This could be done with a kindergarten class, but they can get really wild and funky, and there's a lot to learn with that. So there will be more lessons on using spreadsheets. But this one is just simple, so you can get your feet wet in using this particular program. So again, as I always say, we start by titling our project, and we're going to do DLW Google Basics Sheets and your name. And then in this case, we don't have it in the shared folder yet. So, so two things I can do. I can share it by going over here and choosing who I want to share this document with. This is a really great thing to know how to do. Again, I suggest with your students, if they're working on a project, that the very first thing they do is make sure that they've shared it with you, the teacher. But if you go up here to the folder, I can put that in that shared folder. So I'm clicking on there. It takes a few seconds for that to pop up. And this is all my folders. Here's my Google Docs and my Google Basics shared folder. So if I click on that, you'll see that a little check mark goes by that, and I can move it to that folder. Another nice thing to know about anything in folders in your Google Drive is that you can have the same document in several different folders. So that's different than your file cabinet. You can easily share a document and it's the same document. So if you change it, if you open it up in one folder and you do some edits to it, it'll edit it in all the folders. So it's not a copy of the document. Really important to know. Okay, so back now, those things that we always start with. We start with labeling it with some labeling convention, so it's easy for you to find again, and then sharing it with whoever you're going to share it with. I always start with those steps, especially with students. Okay, so here we are in a spreadsheet, and I'm going to just point out a couple of things that are available in the Google Docs. So again, we've already looked at the share. So this is a great way to, like for instance, if you're collecting information, all kinds of information. Maybe you're collecting results from a science experiment. So all of the students who are working on that science experiment have the spreadsheet shared with them. And then they can go in and they put their results in. So they all end up in one place. instead of everybody having to, fiddle around with their own spreadsheets and then turn them in, and then all of those get consolidated into one. They can put their results right in there. So that's a great way to do that. As teachers, maybe you're collecting results on a specific assessment, and you have your sheet and then somebody else has their sheet or whatever. They can all be, it can be a collaborative document, and you can all have your stuff in one place. So the share function, really important. Another function is the comments function. So as you're working on these documents collaboratively, you can comment on what's happening and ask questions and that kind of thing. So if I comment on this, anybody who this is shared with would see that comment, and they would be able to respond to that comment. Also a really nice feature if you're working on things. We're often not sitting in the same room when we're working on things, so it's nice to be able to have those features. Another thing I wanted to point out is the add-ons. Add-ons really come to play in Google Sheets, and we looked at them just quickly in Google Docs, and there will be some courses on using add-ons in other courses. This is a very basic course, so I'm going to be basic about things. But just so you know, again, just like with Docs, there are tools that you can use, and to kind of take a look at them, you can go down to Get Add-ons, and I'll just do that here. And it gives you a catalog of different add-ons that you might want to add on to your Google Sheet. Now these would be different than your Google Docs because these are specific for Google Sheets. You'll notice this GMath, the one that I showed you in Google Docs, actually there is one for Google Sheets and Google Docs because you use equations in both places. But yeah, you can create Sudoku sheets, you can do quizzes, you can do there's all kinds of things. So it's kind of fun to look in there and see. I will be sharing some of this with you in other courses, but I just wanted you to see how that works. And I'm going to point out a couple that you probably have heard. Doctopus is a tool for pushing out documents to your students to share, and it works with Gubrick, which is a rubric tool. Flubaroo is a way to grade assessments, and it works with Google Forms, which I'll show you a little bit later on. This is a really fun one, this mapping sheets. If you've got addresses, you can, in your spreadsheet, you can then turn that into a map. So just a couple of things there to get you wanting to know more about Google add-ons in the future. Okay, so for this, it's going to be really simple. Your assignment for this, we're going to do favorite ice creams. Again, I said this is something that you might do with a kindergarten class. Just to save time, I've already created. So I've got my favorite ice creams. So I've done this with my class, come up with a list of favorite ice creams, and then I've polled the class, and I've got my numbers there. There's all different ways you can do this. This is actually done better on a Google form, but I just wanted to show you something very simple. So I have my things in my spreadsheet. You'll notice up here a couple of other things I want to point out that we're not going to see in this very simple sheet. That things like you can change the font, you can change the font size, you can do the bold, all those kind of things. You can fill the cells with different colors. You can highlight, so I could highlight this and then give borders to my work. So if I was going to print it out, you can change the alignment, all those kind of things that are kind of basic word processing tools. If you go to format, you'll see the different ways you can format. If you go to insert, you'll see some of the things you can insert, different rows, functions. You can freeze things so that that part of your document can't be altered. The data, you can sort things from A to Z, Z to A. There's a filtering tool here, so you can filter by some result. There's a pivot table. feature as well, so you can create pivot tables. This is all getting into all the many things you can do with spreadsheets. Once you get started playing with spreadsheets, it's amazing what they can do. But very simple. So we've got our thing here. We're not doing any function, but if I wanted to, I could do like a formula. I could say sum, and then I click there, and it tells me how many people I polled. So all I did was I highlighted it. I clicked the function tool. I clicked sum, and it comes up with my answer there. So it did the formula for me. If I wanted an average, same thing, highlight what I want to average, and it gives me an average. So that's how that works. I could do all of those things, but you'll also notice over here that it gives me more functions. This is where you can get crazy with the functions. And so Google's got this list of all these different functions and a little explanation about how to use them. So what's going to happen is when you start using Google spreadsheets and functions, you're going to start thinking, I would like for this to do this and this and this, and then you're going to search for a way to make it work, and oftentimes it will work. Another really cool thing about specific to the Google spreadsheets as to other spreadsheets is because Google is a search engine again. That's how that mapping feature would work, where you type in the address and then it could put it on a map. But you can also type in other things for Google to look up. So a cell, you could have a function in your cell that says look up stock prices for Apple, or look up distance from, or whatever, and it would actually, whatever, you can create your formula so that real-time information shows up in your cells. Very cool. This, again, back to very simple. So here we have our very simple little poll that we did with our students, and we're going to create a chart. So I've highlighted what I want, the selected items that I want in my chart, and then here's the chart feature right here. I'm going to click on that, and it makes a chart. And I can choose which chart makes more sense for what I'm doing. I could do a pie chart, I could do a bar graph, etc. There's more you can do. This gives you more options of different types of chart. You can customize color and backgrounds and all kinds of things like that. So for this particular, and so once I created my chart, it just pops right in on the spreadsheet. And this button will let me edit it. So it's in editing mode. So if I click on this little down arrow, it gives me some options. So I can save this as an image, and then it's just an image that I could put into a Word document or whatever. I could publish it so that I have a web code that we could go back to, copy it, and I can move it to its own sheet so it's not sitting on top of this sheet. So if I click on move to its own sheet, here it is, and here's the spreadsheet. Okay, so for this particular activity, what I would like for you to do is create well, you can make it as basic or whatever as you want, but create a spreadsheet that works as a chart. So think of something that you'd want to chart with. It could be grades, it could be ice cream, favorite animals, whatever you want it to be. You can even use my specific example if you want to. So create that. Go to charts. Create, highlight, go to charts, create your chart, and then save your chart. Okay, so once you have it the way you want it, I have it on 2 pages. Once you have it the way you want it, now we're going to put this in that shared folder because we haven't done that yet. I don't think. Maybe I've already done it. Okay, no, I haven't. Okay, so we're going to put this in the shared folder. So I'm going to click on the folder up at the top. I already have. I already told you how to do that. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. If I click on organize, it comes back to this and I can put it in the folder. I already did that though. So make sure that you've got it in your shared folder. You can check to see who it's shared with. And make sure it's shared with me. It's in your shared folder. So very basic Google Sheets. More on that later, but I just wanted to show you the basics for using Google Sheets.